Warren Fiscal Court, Friday, February 26, 2021 is now called to order. I want to welcome all of you all here and ask Esquire Mark Young to lead us in prayer, and immediately afterwards I'd like to ask everyone to give his attention, stand up for the pledge.
Thank you. Everybody bow with me, please. Lord, we thank you so much for this day and all the beauty that's ours to enjoy in this day. We thank you so much for the ability that we have to meet this morning, even though virtually. We thank you so much for this opportunity for us to perform the duties that we've been elected to perform for the county. We thank you for our country. We ask your blessings on our country, all the leaders, all those elected officials that struggle each day to make the right decisions for their people. We pray, Lord, that we will be diligent in our efforts this morning to move forward, move the Warren County forward. God, we thank you so much for, again, our country. We ask you to bless us. We pray for our enemies, those that try to harm us, that they might have an understanding of their wrong way. God, we thank you so much again. We especially thank you for Jesus, his life, and more especially his death for us. All these things we ask in his name. Amen.
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 Please stand.
I pledge
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
for
which it
one
stands,
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Mark. Ms. Hale, would you please call the roll? Ms. Hale, are you muted?
Esquire Payne,
Okay.
Here.
Esquire Young,
Here.
Esquire Cummings,
Here.
Esquire McWhorter,
Here.
Esquire Lawrence,
Here.
Esquire Gorman.
Here.
Okay. Okay. First thing we need to do is approve the minutes of the fiscal court meeting, February 12th, 2021.
Motion to approve, Squire
Motion.
Lawrence.
Motion by Squire Lawrence,
Second, Squire Young.
second by Squire Young. If there are no additions or corrections, then please call the roll.
Esquire Payne,
Now.
Esquire Young,
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings,
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter, Esquire Lawrence,
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, we need to approve the work schedule for the Warren County Road Department.
So move, McWhorter.
Second, Squire Lawrence.
Motion by Squire McWhorter, second by Squire Lawrence. Any discussion or questions?
I would like to take this opportunity, Judge, to thank our road department and Jerry for the great work they did last week. Difficult circumstances. I think 3 storms in 1 week. Those guys really stepped up their game. I know a lot of them were out there hours on end. And
I second that too, Judge. Great job, Judge.
No accidents, and just a great job.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Jay.
I totally agree with you. They did an outstanding job. We did, of course, have a few roads that were difficult to get to, some subdivisions that never were cleared as well as they could have been. We're making some changes down there to plan for mitigating that sort of thing in the future. But it is amazing. I mean, I'm not even sure they ever called a tow truck this time, which is really unusual.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
they did a great job, and I'm always thankful when we get through something like that and no one's hurt.
Yeah, people need to understand too, Judge, the storm this time was different. I know from personal experience, trying to grade some out here, blacktop drives in parking lot at church. If you did not get it on a certain day and waited the next day, that ice didn't come up. And those snow plows on those trucks are the same, it just scoots right over the ice. So sometimes, even when we do get it late, we can't do a good job or as good a job as they did the day before. So timing means a lot in how and when these roads gets cleared off.
I agree, and I think I want to commend them all. Let's go ahead and vote on this, and then I've got one other thing to say about that. We have a motion and a second, that's McWhorter and Lawrence?
Yes.
No further discussion on that. Please call the roll.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter. Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Now this really, I guess, has to do with the road department and also with the next item, which is personnel changes. So I'm going to go ahead and I think many of you, maybe all of you, have already heard about it, but yesterday Jerry Young filed his papers to retire.
Oh, my gosh.
And of course, we hate to see him go, but as you all know, he's suffered some health issues recently, and he just felt like it was time to make a change. So he'll be leaving as of the end of March. His official retirement date, I guess, will be April 1st. Correct me on anything I'm saying wrong, Josh, but anyway, he just can't fight those big fights like we had last week or so, and he needs to start taking care of his health so badly. But I really, at this point, and I'm going to find out, I can't really tell you how long Jerry's been there at the road department. He was there long before I was elected. I'd say he's been there maybe 40 years. I mean, he's
I think it's 43, Judge.
43.
Yeah, it's over 40.
He's
Yeah.
43.
It's just amazing. And of course, he started out, as a laborer, but he's done an outstanding job. The men all respected him, and he's been a good leader down there. But we're sorry to see him go. For the time being, Josh Moore will assume the responsibilities as an interim county road supervisor, and we have 2 or 3 potential candidates for that road supervisor job, because I know Josh doesn't want to do this forever, but he's actually volunteered, and I told Jerry I was probably going to let Josh be the interim director and our interim supervisor. I know he'll do a good job, and I know he'll need the support and cooperation of all the people at the road department during this transition. But Josh, do you have anything you want to add to that I'm leaving out?
Well, it's very possible that April 1st, that is April Fool's Day, so maybe Jerry's just going to come back with a big chuckle and say, gotcha. Well, I mean, it's like you guys have said, Jerry's done a phenomenal job. 43 years anywhere is impressive. Marie, Brenda, I'm looking at y'all too. Y'all gonna be here probably more than that before it's all said and done. I just, there's a great group of guys down there, and I think when I talked to the judge about an interim position, clearly it's not because I feel like that's something that I intend on assuming long-term, but I think we've got to see who we have and see who's the best fit. I think there's a very good possibility that we've got some folks down there that will be able to step into the role that Jerry has now. And that's probably the logical way to go. But there are some things that we can always improve on. There's some ideas that those guys have. And I think I'd like to spend a little bit of time seeing what their suggestions are first and look at areas where we can better. I know that each one of the magistrates and you judge have got ideas that we should explore. And I think I'll try to help spearhead that so that, in a few months, we've got a new replacement down there and we're off to the races like we always are. It's actually, if there's ever such a good time, this is probably it. We're leading up to warm weather. And so if we can get things lined up before spring gets here, we should hit the ground running. And again, Jerry's imparted a lot of wisdom on those guys over the years. So I know that they know what to do. And it's just a matter of figuring out what's the best way to move forward. And again, if you guys have any questions or suggestions, by all means, give me a call. I anticipate a lot of discussion about this in the near future. So thank you for the opportunity to try to fill in a little bit, and I'll do my best.
I really appreciate you stepping up, and this is not a total surprise. Jerry kind of gave me a heads up that he felt like he was going to need to start taking care of his health and make it a priority a few months ago, so we put some thought into this, but I didn't really get his date certain until yesterday. So it's not something that I've failed to tell you about. I failed to tell you about it for about 24 hours, I guess, but so I'm sorry about that. But I want to make sure everyone knows that Jerry should be in your prayers and thoughts. We certainly hope that his health improves and he is able to get out and enjoy the fruits of his labors. And he's got I don't know what his retirement will be, but after 43 years, it's probably been costing him money to come to work each day. So I know he's thankful for that, and I hope he has a long and fruitful future ahead of him, and I hope his health improves so he can enjoy what he's worked so hard for. So please keep Jerry and Vivian both in your prayers, as her health is not as good as it should be either, but maybe with Jerry there to take care of, or him to take care of her, maybe they'll both improve rapidly. So at this time, I'd like to go ahead and approve personnel changes for Warren County.
So move, Squire Young.
Motion by Squire Young, second.
Second with Squire Lawrence.
Second by Squire Lawrence. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Payne,
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young,
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings,
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter, Esquire Lawrence,
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 7 is to approve second and final reading of ordinance 2108, rezoning property located at 971 Richards Road from agriculture to residential estate containing approximately 3.39 acres and presently owned by Easley LLC in care of Brent Easley.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Squire Cummings. Second.
Second by Squire Payne.
Second by Squire Payne. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Payne,
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young,
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings,
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter,
Ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence,
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 8 is to approve second and final reading of ordinance 2109, rezoning property located at 1154 Bronner Road from agriculture and floodplain to residential estate and floodplain containing approximately 4.75 acres and presently owned by Jackson White.
Motion by Cummings.
Motion by Squire Cummings,
Second, McWhorter.
second by Squire McWhorter. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Righty, next item is to approve second and final reading of ordinance 2110, rezoning property located at a portion of 620 Richardsville Road from agriculture to residential estate containing approximately 3 acres and presently owned by Brian and Debbie Hendrick and Handy Homes LLC as the applicant.
So moved, Squire Young.
Motion by Squire Young,
Second by Cummings.
second by Squire
Cummings.
Payne? Second by
Yeah.
Squire Payne. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Item number 10 is to approve second and final reading of ordinance 2111, rezoning property located at a portion of 0 Fuqua Road from agriculture to residential estate containing approximately 3.06 acres, presently owned by Aaron and Courtney Davenport.
So moved, Squire Young.
Motion by Squire Young,
Second by Squire Lawrence.
second by Squire Lawrence. Discussion or questions? There being none, please call the roll.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number
Found
11
these
is to
roads.
approve second and final reading of ordinance 2112, rezoning property located at 3274 Sunnyside Ghat Road from agriculture to rural residential and residential estate containing approximately 5.38 acres and presently owned by Mark Smith and Dina Brooks.
So moved, McWhorter.
Motion by Squire McWhorter,
Second by Squire Lawrence.
second by Squire Young, I think. All righty. Any questions or discussion? Please call the roll.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Next item is, item number 12 is simply to make part of the record a certificate of liability insurance for Clean Earth LLC. If there are no objections, that's hereby ordered to be entered into the record. And item number 13 is to grant authority to advertise for bids for annual generator maintenance. This includes the jail, courthouse, fire stations, and drug task force buildings.
So moved, McWhorter.
Motion by Squire McWhorter,
Second by Cummings.
second by Squire Cummings. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 14 is to approve budget transfers for Warren County.
Motion by Squire Payne.
Motion by Squire Payne,
Second, Gorman.
second by Squire Gorman. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, item number 14 is to approve, the purchase, number 15, approve the purchase of 2021, actually, this is a lease. This is a lease, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. Approve the lease of a 2021 Ram 2500 and a 2021 Ram 1500 through the Fleet Management Program with Enterprise for Emergency Management. I don't know whether you call.
Motion by Cummings.
Motion by Squire Lawrence.
Motion by Squire Cummings, second by Squire Lawrence. I guess technically these are lease purchases, really, because they go on our fleet, but they're technically leased through Enterprise. So I'm not sure what you really call them, but let's just make sure that it just says lease, even though they're technically in our name for period of time we own them. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, item number 16 is to approve Resolution 2104, Community Development Block Grant Utility Assistance Program.
Motion by Squire Lawrence.
Motion by Squire Lawrence,
Second by Cummings.
second by Squire Cummings. Any discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 17 is to approve emergency determination in the amount of $4,771 to Industrial Electrical Contractors, Inc. for repair to burned light poles and destroyed wiring at Griffin Park. This was damage caused by birds and squirrels, so we can't blame it on lightning this time.
Move. McWhorter.
Motion by Squire McWhorter. Second?
Second by Squire Lawrence.
Second by Squire Lawrence. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, item number 18 is to accept the only bid received from Comfort USA Systems for preventative maintenance on all HVAC, heating, thermostat, and mechanical units at White and Buchanan Park gyms in the amount of $5,805 per year for facility. This is for a total of $11,610 over the term of the 36-month contract. And these were the only, although we asked for other bids, this was the only one only one received. Do I have a
So
motion?
move, Squire Young.
Motion by Squire Young,
Second.
Second by Cummings.
second by Squire Gorman. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 19 is to approve the January 2021 Treasurers Report. We have-
So move, Squire Young.
Motion by Squire Young, second.
Second. Payne.
Second by Squire Payne. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 20 is to approve determination in the amount of $55,428.67 for 3 John Deere Z955R mowers, 1 John Deere Gator from Wright Implement. This is Sourcewell pre-bid contract, and they'll be used for the I-65 beautification project, which I'm sure you all realize that these will end up being split, the cost for this by the city of Bowling Green.
Motion by Cummings.
Motion by Squire Cummings,
Second by Squire Lawrence.
second by Squire Lawrence. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 22 is to approve Order 2101, appointing Nellie Franz to the Operation Pride Board.
Motion by Squire Lawrence.
Motion by Squire Lawrence,
Second, McWhorter.
second by Squire McWhorter. Any discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Judge.
all righty. We're awfully proud to have Nellie joining us on the Operation Pride Board. I know she'll be a good board member.
Judge 21.
Item number 21 is to approve determination in the amount of $54,539 to Wright Equipment for a replacement tractor and rotary cutter for White Park. This is a Sourcewell contract.
So,
I'm sorry.
motion by Squire Young.
Motion by Squire
Sorry.
Young. Second.
Second by Cummings.
Second by Squire Cummings. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next item is to approve the determination in the amount of $8,375.81 to Wright Implement for steel gas-powered maintenance equipment. This includes blowers, weed eaters, trimmers, and push mowers. This will be used for the I-65 beautification project as well. There were 3 quotes received. This was the lowest and best quote. And here again on this equipment, this will be partly funded by us and partly funded by the city.
So made, McWhorter.
Motion by Squire McWhorter. Second?
Second by Cummings.
Second by Squire Cummings. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 24 is to grant authority to advertise for a street sweeper for stormwater management.
Esquire Payne.
Squire Payne,
Second
Second
by
by Squire
Cummings.
Lawrence.
second by Squire Cummings, I think. Okay. Any questions or discussion?
Josh, do they have a street sweeper now?
I'll answer that if that's okay.
Yes, yes.
So we do. It was a very old one that the city, that we bought from the city, and it has had a lot of issues. That we haven't used it at all this year because of the number of repairs, or last year, 2020, because of the number of repairs that it required. It's also just very large, so it doesn't meet our needs necessarily as this one will. It's much smaller. It's much easier, it's less complicated, and it fits in the parking garage. So we'll be able to sweep the parking garage as well as curb and gutter streets throughout the county. So.
Cool. Okay.
Thank you, Nick.
And Squire Young, we didn't talk about it. And actually Nikki and I haven't had that much discussion about it, but I suspect that we will probably sell or surplus the old one, get what we can out of it. Right now it's taking up space. We've got to kind of evaluate what it's worth now in the state it's in. But it's again, like Nikki said, it's something set up for sweeping roads like the bypass. You know, it's so large, it doesn't really work in residential situations like we need to. So we'll have that as a future item, I'm sure.
Thanks.
We have a motion and a second. Okay. Any other questions or any discussion? Please call the roll.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 25 is to approve second quarter financial reports for Warren County.
Motion. So moved, Gorman.
Motion by Squire Gorman,
Second, Squire Lawrence.
second by Squire Lawrence. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now to, will the treasurer please present the claims to the court? Mr. Burrow?
General fund, $936,694. Road fund, $90,299. Jail fund, $348,190. And stormwater fund, $24,902. You have to answer your questions.
Make a motion, we pay the claims as submitted.
Motion by Squire Young to pay claims as submitted.
Second,
Second by
McWhorter.
Cummings.
Second by Squire McWhorter. Any questions or discussion? Please call the roll.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Judge, before we go to department heads, I'd like to say something.
Yes, sir.
I think this would be a very appropriate time for us to name the county barn after Jerry Young. I will make a motion to do so.
I'll second that, McWhorter.
I'll third that.
Okay, we have a motion by Squire Payne and second by Squire McWhorter and a third by Squire Young to name the county barn after Jerry Young.
Awesome.
Any discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Righty. Thank you all so much. I know Jerry will appreciate that, and his wife and family. Sheriff Hightower, I saw you on here, but I can't see you right now.
Can you not see me, Judge? I'm on here.
Oh, I do. I got you.
Hey, I just first off want to thank Josh and his whole crew and Jerry and his whole crew of everything they did last week during the snowstorm. It really was incredible, them clearing the parking lots and everything else they did, streets, and being able to keep us moving. So I just want to give them a shout out and really do appreciate our local health department, the medical center for getting all of our folks vaccinated. Since we have all been vaccinated, we haven't had folks in and out like they were all this past year. We have had people either positive exposed to somebody positive, having to wait for test results. It took up an incredible amount of man hours. And since then, I'm happy to say that we have not had that issue. So thank you to everybody. And we're looking so forward to the spring and summer. So that's all I've got, Judge.
Thank you very much, Sheriff. I know Mr. Moore will agree with me. I think that it's highly appropriate that you thanked Jerry Young and the road crew and Josh and all of his people, but also Nikki and the stormwater crew and Chris with Parks. His crew are phenomenal as always. And James and his people, it was a team effort getting all this done and cleaning the parking lots and sidewalks and the county roads. It was just, it took just about everyone. And of course we're thankful that we had a great many trucks with plows outside of the road department and public works. So Josh, if you want to add anything to that, I'll let you.
No, Judge, like I said, I think you thanked all the involved parties. It really does take, and honestly, Ronnie and his guys, because it's every 5 minutes we're calling him and getting on a phone call and trying to stay ahead of things. But, you know, there's always, every storm is different. Like Squire Young said earlier, this one was a little different than the one we'd had in the past. And there'll be another one that's different than the ones we've had this last time. And they all have to be approached a little bit different. And we're always try to get a grips around what's the best way to do things. And thankfully you guys have supported all of our departments in acquiring some equipment that has been beneficial. And now we're just getting our hands around the best way to implement those pieces of equipment. So I think we've got a good game plan. We're all talking, you know, usually a few months before winter weather gets here and make sure we know what we're going to do. And I'd say we'll talk again and may have a whole different plan the next time, but we work them and we change, and it's always an adventure. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Josh. I really do. I agree with the sheriff. Man, we owe you all a great deal of gratitude, and glad you mentioned Mr. Pearson, his group. I think I probably worried Ronnie to death more than anyone on a daily basis. So thank you all. Ms. Yates, are you on here? I don't see.
She's not. She said she had something going on this morning.
Oh, okay. All righty. Lynette was pretty busy this morning and couldn't be here with us. Jailer Harmon, are you on?
He may have court.
Jailer Harmon may have, they're still unusually busy down there, and he's probably has people in court this morning. Mr. Comer, I see you're on here. How are you?
Hey, doing great. Just wanted to thank Jerry Young and the road department crew for all the years of support that they've given the Parks Department. We've worked with Jerry and his team on many different things over the years, and we just appreciate everything that they do for us, and we look forward to working with Josh and the team as they continue on. So parks are doing good. Appreciate all the support last week and help from all the different departments, and hope everybody has a safe weekend.
Thank you, Chris.
Hey, Chris,
Yes, sir.
I noticed you're in your vehicle. Is the air conditioner stuck on or something?
No, we just been outside in between looking at some benches and a bleacher. So
Good to see you, buddy.
good to see you, bud.
Yeah, Chris is very fortunate that a great deal of his office time is out usually in good weather. This may not be such good weather today, but I appreciate all the time you spend out in the when it's not such good weather too, Chris. Mr. Moore?
No, sir, I think I've said enough. I do want to allow Nikki to maybe give you guys an update on Household Hazardous Waste Day. We've got some information, and she knows it way more than I do. But thank you.
All righty, all right.
Yeah, so we are gonna do Household Hazardous Waste Day. We weren't able to do it at all last year, for obvious reasons. It will look a little bit different. We are anticipating a large number of people will come out and wanting to dispose of a year and a half of accumulation of items. So we have a couple different phases to this. The first one being the main event will be March 20th, 8 to 1, at the Salt Barn. So 999 Lauren Avery Drive. We've hosted it there in the past, and it's a fairly good location. It gives us a long road to stack cars on. So we are also trying to hopefully limit the number of people that actually show up on that Saturday by a couple different things. The first one being, if you need to dispose of batteries, we've partnered with Batteries Plus on the bypass. You can drop off your batteries anytime for the month of March for free. So stormwater in the city, we are paying for those. All that's dropped off and said, this is for the Household Hazardous Waste Day, we are taking those. Or they're taking them for us. Also, for the entire month of March, you can go to Sherwin-Williams on the bypass and on Campbell Lane, kind of by Five Guys and Kinko's, FedEx, and pick up, not drop off, pick up paint hardener. So you've always been able to dispose of paint by hardening it and putting it in bags and throwing it away. So as long as it's not dripping, you can dispose of it normally in the trash. So you don't have to wait to bring it to Household Hazardous Waste Day. I know the majority of what we get is paint in various states of use. So if it's a lot and you want to donate it, by all means, we'll take it. But if it's just a little bit and you don't know what to do with it, we are providing paint hardener that you can pick up, harden it yourself, and dispose of it yourself. So that's also for the entire month of March. On the 18th and 19th, before the main event of March, so Thursday and Friday, we are having a limited event, just a 2-day event, where we'll pick up batteries, paint, and electronic waste. So your computers, your TVs, not the giant big box TVs, but LCD TVs, plasma, that kind of thing. Any other kind of electronic equipment that you would dispose of. We would prefer you to come on Thursday and Friday to limit the number of people there on Saturday. Saturday, if you've got motor oil, pesticides, chemicals, light bulbs, any of those types of things that you have to have a special license to collect, we ask that you just come on Saturday. But please, if you are at all able, come on one of the other days so we can reduce those lines. Unfortunately, this year, because of the COVID restrictions, we're unable to have the help of the Warren County Regional Jail. So we are going to be working the lines ourselves, and we're asking for any volunteers. I know Jack Wright, former stormwater manager, has actually volunteered. So very thankful for Jack, and he's reaching out for us for any kind of volunteers that he can find. So if you know anybody that would love to help out on a Saturday, we're going to have all the precautions. We're providing N95 masks, chemical resistant gloves, eyewear, all of the things that you might need to help prevent not only COVID spread, but also any kind of chemical spill prevention type stuff. So please take advantage of those other days, those other offerings, so we hopefully won't have people sitting in line for hours. So we're excited to finally do the event again, even though it's been quite a challenge trying to figure out all the pieces with COVID. So thanks.
Good
Nikki?
job. Yes, go
Or
ahead.
Josh, either one.
Hey, Judge, I have a question for Josh.
Let's let Mark go first, and then what was your question, Mark?
Have we talked about or discussed the tire collection for this year? Is that a possibility?
I need to double check with Stan. You know, we only get funding every 3 years. I cannot remember if this is our year or not, to be honest with you, Mark. Let me look and I'll get back to you. One of the challenges we've had has been, well, one, it's been difficult this year because without the inmates who often pick those up for us. We don't have very many in our facility in storage yet. We didn't actually have enough in a truck to actually have somebody come dispose of that for us. We have looked at options to maybe build a facility ourselves, and there are some other options that we could do as far as cutting tires, very labor intensive. We could always try to fund our own tire amnesty more frequently. The expense would all be on the county. We probably wouldn't get a lot of participation from the state money, but we can look into that. I don't know that it's something that should be done every year, but every other year maybe, just because we do get a lot. I will get back with you or have Stan get on at the next court meeting and give you an update, because I know we've talked about it, and I'll be honest, I don't know.
Well, the reason I'm asking, I get calls about that day. And the longer we go in between collection years, I've noticed too, you see more tires on the side of the road.
Sure.
So it's something that I would be interested in, trying to get going.
One of the things that we know that's happening in the last few years, you've seen a lot of these wholesale used tire companies pop up, and those are types of facilities that we can't take tires from because they're getting paid to dispose of those tires, and they're choosing to not dispose of them properly at times. So we've got that education component to overcome as well. But yes, you're right. In the last 2 or 3 years, they're so much more visible, and I don't know if that's from the fact that we're not having the event or if it's because of some of these tire companies and they choose to get rid of the things they don't need in methods that they shouldn't be doing. But yes, give us a little bit to try to put some ideas together, but I think we should try to explore that. I agree.
Thanks.
I agree. Squire Cummings, you had a question for Josh or Nikki too?
Yes, I did, and Josh and I have talked privately about this, but I just want to bring it in front of the whole court, in front of the whole fiscal court, about how great job we did last week with the road and the cleaning. But one thing we're not doing at all is subdivisions. And, with the way our whole county is changing, a lot of, especially in my district, where probably 70% of the population lives inside of subdivisions, we're not clearing roads in the subdivisions, and it's something that we have to look at, hopefully as things change along, about how we make that better, because we do a good job on the roads, but if they can't get out of their subdivision to get on the roads, it's a problem. So I can tell you I had 200 calls last week during the storm, and they all were related to subdivisions not being plowed or not being cleared in any way. So something I just want to make sure put out here publicly, so we can hopefully work on a plan in the future that we have to somehow include those to our citizens.
Mr. Young, Cummings, just to kind of follow up on that, kind of all you guys. One of the things we've seen, and I know you know this, Warren County is very diverse. Depending on where you are in this county, what your road network looks like is completely different. That's a good thing. But one of the areas that we're trying to do a little bit of research on is, to what, in District 6, for instance, I would say that it might be closer to a 50-50 split of the miles of roadway, which I think are around 230 or 40 miles in District 6. And I think Squire Young, in your district, I think it's about 230. You all have about the same road miles. But Ron's district is becoming overwhelmingly subdivision streets, curb, gutter, sidewalk. Mark, yours probably won't ever get to that level. But in order to the public to show that we're addressing both situations, we're looking at ways to do a better job at that. One of the things that we've recognized, and Jerry's known this for years, we've all known this, is that it's difficult in a dense residential subdivision to plow streets with a big dump truck and a huge plow. There's on-street parking, there's utility boxes that are near the roadway. There's just a lot of things that are different. So we're starting to look at ways of maybe using some smaller trucks We may have some now, we may need to look at getting some in the future. But to be able to respond in a more equitable or fair spread to the citizens in the different districts. So we're clearly looking into that. Again, those roads have always been what we call a priority C route. They're kind of the last ones you get to. But when you've got over 700 miles of roadway, sometimes you never get to those C routes. So I think we're just trying to see if there's a way that we can do that. Can we say that every subdivision is going to get plowed to bare asphalt? Probably not going to happen. But to be able to put some attention there, I think that's something we need to consider and look at ways to do it. Again, those are some things that I'm hoping to talk to the guys down there at the barn and see what their thoughts are. I've got some ideas, and I know you all do too. So those may be things that I'll bring back to you probably sooner than later. So.
Yeah. But that is something that we've been working on the last few years, simply because the subdivisions are growing. More people are living in subdivisions, as we've pretty much doubled in growth, in population over the last 25 years. But the primary roads, the primary commute roads obviously have to be done first, because that affects everyone, regardless whether they're in a subdivision or not. But subdivisions also, when you clean the streets, it can create additional problems. Like, for instance, in the city, I know the city gets a lot of calls about blocked driveways. People, as you plow the streets, the individual streets, the individual driveways pile up from the snow that has been moved from the roadway. So it's really a lot slower and requires some smaller equipment. And anyway, Josh and all of us are aware of that, and we're working toward addressing those quicker, but they'll always fall a little bit behind the primary commute routes, simply because those commute routes affect everyone, whereas those individual subdivisions, if they can get out through their subdivisions, they're less likely to experience a very serious accident in their own subdivision if they have to go over plowed streets, unplowed streets. But your point is well taken, I understand it. Ms. Kohler, if you would, you explained all this really well, but just so everyone at home understands, we've got a 3-day process here, well, actually a month long on the batteries and electronics, but in regard to the others, you got March 18th, 19th, and 20th. What takes place where on each of those days? And all 3 of them are 8 to 1?
All 3 of them are 8 to 1 at the Salt Barn, Barn Avery Drive.
Okay.
On Thursday and Friday, the 18th and 19th, it is only batteries, paint, and electronics.
Okay.
If you bring anything else, we will turn you away and tell you to come back on Saturday.
Okay, so only on the 20th is where you're collecting basically all household.
And that's not by our choice, that's by the regulations. We are not a licensed, permitted collector of those things. And so to get that would be a very lengthy permitting process that we don't really want to have the responsibility for. So it's not that we just don't want to take it, it's that we can't. So.
I understand. Just want to make sure that everyone kind of understands that.
So it's all on the website.
Right.
It's on our Warren County ky.gov website, and you can just Google Warren County Household Hazardous Waste, and it will show up. So, and it'll be on the news and such here shortly.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Let's see here. Mr. Pearson, you have anything going on today, you and Travis?
Morning, sir. Yes, we have several things going on. Number one, vaccination sites are opening up a little bit more. We have probably approaching 35,000 residents of Warren County that have been vaccinated. The governor and Dr. Stack has opened up as of Monday, phase 1C, which is 60 and up. And there's about 29,000 of those residents of Warren County in that category. So we've still got a long road to go, but they're open, and encourage everybody to log on and get signed up, those that want the vaccine. And wanted to say I wish Jerry well, hope his health improves. And thank Chris and Josh and Judge, you for last week getting through the storm. We all talked, I think, consistently for several days there, but I want to say thanks to everybody. Did a great job, and we got through it. That's it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Do you want to, I'm not sure if all these sites are, have been announced yet, but can you give us the sites and when they're open and how to access each one of them? I know the Kroger site, everyone seems to be aware of. I know that there are Walgreens and of course the medical center and others. But I thought maybe you could kind of give us a list so people know where they have to choose from. And then there's a kind of a pop-up site that's coming.
There is.
One day next week, and I wanted to make sure that the right people are notified on that.
I'll be sending this right after fiscal court. It's called Vaccine Finder. You go to the website, type in your zip code, and it will show you the sites that are open. Excuse me. We do have the local Walgreens store. The regional site at Old Sears is currently working Thursday, Friday, and Saturday from 10 to 4. The medical center is, I think, from 8 to 4. The health department, and I think their hours are varying, depending on where they're at. And then the Walgreens, I'm unsure of their hours, Judge, but it's also a call and make an appointment at the local Walgreens store. But I will get that information. I'll send it out, but encourage, it's called vaccinefinder.org, and I'll be sending that out. Just type in your zip code, and it'll show you actually a map and location and directions to those sites.
All right. Thank you so much, Ronnie. I appreciate all you do. Mr. Loving, are you on? Mr. Loving is not with us today. Mr. Newsman, the interim PVA, are you on here, or anyone from the PVA office? Okay. Mr. Appling, I see you.
You're muted, Bob.
Okay. Can't hear you.
I know. Oh, there you go.
There you are. There you are. Got you.
Got me now.
Uh-huh.
We just want to wish Jerry Young the best of life. He's a good friend of mine, and I know we're going to miss him. But everything else is going well.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you for all you do. Mr. Peterson said he might not be on here because of another meeting, but I see him on here.
I'm on. I'm fixing to switch meetings. You all went pretty fast today, so I figured I'd hang out and just say thank you, Judge.
All right. Thank you so much, Ben. Mr. Markram.
Thank you, Judge. Thanks very much.
Thank you on behalf of everyone, for all your help too during the storm. I know that you kind of answered to multiple people, but the Justice Center was in good shape every day it was open, and even in good shape on days it wasn't open. But I appreciate your hard work. Squire Payne, do you have anything you'd like to share?
Judge, I just tell everybody to stay safe and be smart.
And wear your mask. Squire Young.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Judge. Again, thinking about Jerry and Vivian. Appreciate Jerry so much. You know, like many others, Jerry's been a lifelong friend and neighbor. Farms joined family farms, Jerry's and mine, all our lives and still yet. So, excuse me. Just wish them the best and ask everybody to keep them in their prayers. They do have health issues.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Mark. Okay, Squire Cummings.
Thank you, Judge. Just want to reiterate, obviously, what everyone else has said. It'd be nice if we could do some kind of a building dedication down there for Jerry, kind of retirement / building dedication for him when he finally steps out at the end of next month. But that'd be great to do. We can kind of coordinate that. Want to publicly say again, happy birthday late yesterday for Sheriff Hightower's birthday was yesterday. He survived another year. Good for him.
That was your, what, 75th birthday?
Something like that. He's getting close to peanuts. So. But just like everybody else said, just be safe, be smart, wear your mask. Would love for us at some point soon to have in-person meetings again. But just thank everybody for what they do and all the magistrates and yourself, Judge. Just everybody who helps Warren County be a great place to live. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Squire Cummings. And Squire McWhorter.
Yes, sir. I'm just going to reiterate how valuable Jerry has been to me and my district. Anytime I needed to do something, needed something done, he's right there for me. So I just we're going to miss him. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Rex. Squire Lawrence.
Yeah, Judge, I also want to thank Jerry Young and comment on how good it was to work with him all this time. He's always been so cooperative, easy to deal with, get him on the phone at a moment's notice, morning, noon, or night, didn't make any difference. I'm really going to be missing him, that's a truth. And also, I'm very thankful we've got such good department heads, because that's one thing we really got going on here is the cooperation out of all our department heads. We can get a hold of them. They are forthcoming with information and helpful anytime we need them. And I'd just like to say thank you to all of them.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Tom. And I've got Squire Gorman at the end, so no one can have a comeback on him. Squire Gorman.
I appreciate that, Judge. I want to reiterate too, Jerry Young, what a great example of a public servant. And he has served this community and this county very well. And so just thankful for his service. Also want to keep our Hadley Fire Chief, Russell Justice, in your prayers as he lost his wife, Carolyn,
Amen.
last week. And Russell is a great thing. When we get back in court, it's going to be a little difficult at first because guarantee you Russell will be there in the courtroom. And first time that I can ever remember not having Carolyn with them. So keep them in your prayers there too. Thanks to all the department heads. What a great job. One thing we always find out about Warren County, it's easy to judge people in good times and put a little heat on them and you can see what they're about. And we definitely had pressure on all of the departments and they all, again, did a great job on that. I want to point out two things very quickly. Also, I want to thank publicly our treasurer, Greg, and our county attorney, Amy, for the work they've been doing behind the scenes in the transition from SkyPack to Ask. It is a big undertaking they're doing on the side, and so I want to thank them for that. And then finally, Judge, really this is probably more to Josh and Nikki. Many people on fiscal court don't realize, but in his younger days, Tom Lawrence was a Zamboni driver. And so for the street sweeper we're getting, if we're needing someone to fill in, Squire Lawrence would be your man. Hope everyone has a great weekend.
I'm there.
I've got an ice rink job for you if you want it.
Okay. Mr. Comer, do you have any photos or anything you can share with the court, not necessarily right now, about how things are going on with the new building out there? I know that some of us go out there, one or two of us go out there, I guess probably every day, but it's amazing the difference that's happened. It's amazing the changes in the last 2 or 3 weeks.
It's been unbelievable, Judge. As you all may know, the Musco lighting for the outdoor tennis courts has arrived. The snow last week kind of messed that up. They were hoping to have gotten all that up last week with the snow. That's been pushed back about a week or so. In regards to the structure itself, as you all have probably seen, the insulation is going up on the roofing. They had some delays last week because of the weather. They've started some block work on the actual mechanical room. All the underlaying of all the pipes, plumbing, etc., for the main floor, what I'm kind of calling the front of the house, which is where the racquetball courts, main lobby, offices will be, is being worked on currently, and they're making progress as weather allows, and everything is going really good. Another quick update at Michael Buchanan Park is the LED project. They've got the lower complex, or AKA the new complex, complete. They've still got to adjust some lights. We've kept them to a very tight schedule because of tournaments and events that we have coming up here in the next 2 weeks. So we're hoping to be able to finish out Michael Buchanan Park, and then they will progress up to Ephraim White to begin that conversion. So we appreciate John Waddle, Ricky, from Knights Electric, and things are proceeding really well. The Kiwanis project at Fillmore Park is completed, other than the resurfacing of the track, which we're hoping here in the next month or two, once the asphalt plant opens back up, that they can tackle that. But the Kiwanis building is awesome, and the new maintenance facility, our park manager there, Adam Carmen, he's just ecstatic. I can't keep him out of the building. So things are going really well. We appreciate court support. And we're looking forward to a good spring with all of our league programs and tournaments back online with social distancing and some modification. But so far, it's been going really well.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for everything you do. And there's not much better a team player than the Parks Department. Y'all have done a great deal with very little staff. We appreciate you. Ms. Milliken, do you have anything?
Just sending out our deepest sympathies to Russell Justice and his family. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Thinking about it.
Russell has been, Russell Justice has, I think he is the longest serving chief within Warren County. He's been there for a long, long time, and he's one of the few that remembers exactly how all of the fire departments operated before I was first elected, and he understands that although we have genuine needs still, that many of their needs have been met, and their ISO ratings are so much better, which is reflected in great savings for all of our citizens.
And there wasn't a time his wife wasn't right by his side.
That's true. That's true. Carolyn was with him just about everywhere he went.
Yeah.
So our thoughts and prayers are with Russell and all of his family, all his girls. Mr. Burrell?
Thanks, Judge.
Deputy Judge Smith, you have anything?
Very young. Best. He has always been so helpful anytime that we ask him to do something.
Thank you so much. I agree. Ms. Hale?
Just want to wish Jerry Young the best of luck. He and Ed Dyer were two of the greatest men, good public servant, and also condolences to Russell Justice.
Thank you. Okay. Happy birthday to the sheriff, and happy birthday to Treasurer Burrell from February 22nd. And our next regular scheduled meeting is next Friday, March 5th, 2021. This happens a couple of times a year at 9 a.m. Any other business to come before this body?
Are we going to Zoom?
Pardon me? Yes, it'll be Zoom this time. Motion to adjourn?
Motion by Squire Lawrence.
Squire Lawrence, second?
Second McQuarter.
Second McQuarter. Thank you all. God bless you.